All right.
What a crowd. Long flight.
Long flight indeed. Mo and I accidentally shared an overnight flight from New York to London. Flew in this morning and also shared a cab ride here, so we're getting pretty comfortable with each other prepping for this panel. But thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. And yeah, it's beautiful to be in an amazing city, especially when I've moved from New York City to Palo Alto. So it's nice to see the energy and of course, all the amazing people here today. So thank you for having us in London. Very quickly, I'm Mo Shaikh, a co-founder, CEO of Aptos. Prior to building Aptos, I've spent time at my former employer, Meta. We're working on a project called DM and Libra and Novi that you may have all heard of. And before that, I spent a lot of time in the Ethereum world. And before that, I spent a lot of time with probably the crowd that was up here before us in finance, working at BlackRock and BCG in financial markets. So,
yeah, awesome. And yeah, Simon Baksys here with Google, about 6 years with Google, and I lead our go-to-market MBD for Web3, which is exciting to say on this stage. Mo and I actually go back maybe 11 or 12 months, which in crypto years puts us basically as childhood friends. But we met at ETH Denver about 9 months ago in February, and we had dinner with a lot of kind of top peak founders in Web3 from various companies. And the Aptos team was very early on at the time. It was basically 3-4 months in out of Meta, just raising money, but there was something special there that I think we saw. And ever since, we've kind of collaborated, riffed on different ideas, shared best practices, and the Aptos team in general has been super helpful in kind of letting and helping Google figure out, you know, how to approach Web3 and how should we be doing this and how should we kind of solve real problems together. So, you know, generally speaking, I won't spend too much time on this because we'll get into specific examples, but most people have heard of Google, I hope at least, but maybe not everyone has heard of sort of what we're doing in Web3. And we've really embraced Web3 in a big way, I would say, from announcements that we made recently about accepting crypto to building developer tooling like the blockchain node engine, all the way to investing and partnering with the top industry leaders in the space. We built out multiple teams internally. We have a lot of efforts going on. Like, we're in it for the long run, which is super exciting. And partnering with companies like Aptos and the ecosystem is just been really, really fun. And we kind of view ourselves as a sort of bridge from Web 2 to Web 3. And we'll unpack that in a little bit here, I think, with Mo. But more importantly, I think what I always like to say, like the way that we're operating in this space is we're really being conscious and deliberate of the ethos of Web3 and really taking into consideration decentralization and openness and ownership, all the factors that really matter, especially when coming from a company like Google. That said though, you know, that's a little bit about us. Mo, would love to hear kind of what you guys are working on. You've been on an absolute rocket ship the past 12 months. It's been stellar to see the growth. Like, tell us what Aptos has been up to and what everyone should know here.
Sure. Yeah, and you know, it may look like a rocket ship that, you know, over the last 12 months, but you know, again, we've been building this for a long time. You know, almost 3.5 years in the making. And what we landed on with Aptos today is we are a permissionless delegated proof-of-stake network, layer 1 blockchain. And we're designed with upgradability and scalability at the core, but the way we get to that is really putting users first. And those users are developers that are building applications, and they're users that are using those applications. And when we look at the landscape today, it is very difficult for an average individual that's used to using Web 2 to have a Web 3 experience. They're very excited, but the moment they dip in and you know, enter that portal, it's hard for them. And that applies also for developers. You know, developers are really excited about all the applications and the use cases they can build, but they find it to be very difficult, whether it comes down to the L1 infrastructure because there's challenges associated with it, or whether it comes down to tools that are there for developers to get them up and running. Aptos is designed with those developers in mind. And we haven't built a network that stands just today, but it's designed in a way that will continuously upgrade for the future. And that is really powerful because we don't know where these use cases are going to go. We don't know what kind of entrepreneurial spirits are going to lead to in terms of innovation. So we want to make sure we can keep up with them, and that's going to be really important for them. We also use a brand new smart contract language called Move. And that smart contract language was also designed from the ground up. We've seen things like Rust and Solidity, and we've heard the challenges that people are facing, developers specifically, when they're trying to write applications that can scale, smart contracts that could represent millions of dollars or even billions of dollars of value. And Move basically ensures security for those developers. It's also very simple for them to then continue to monitor those smart contracts and take them or scale them as their applications improve. And so Move is really an amazing differentiator, and we think something that the Web3 ecosystem has needed for a long time. So having a completely brand new L1 with a new smart contract language is something that Aptos is very excited about bringing to market. Last point that I wanted to make, we've didn't launch this thing, with the hopes of understanding what's going to happen in the market. We've actually, coming from FANG type companies, or I guess Meta replaces the F these days.
Mang.
Mang? Okay.
Mang.
That doesn't have the same ring. We wanted to test this network extensively before it went to market. We had 4 test nets that we ran throughout the year. In each one of those test nets, we took developer feedback incorporated that feedback into each one of the test nets, and that's what allowed us to get to mainnet a few weeks ago. So this is coming to market, probably one of the most tested networks out there, and developers are really excited about that too. But I'm sure you want to talk a little bit about what you guys have been excited about with Aptos, so I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's been just stellar to watch what you guys have been able to accomplish. 3 weeks, 4 weeks into mainnet, right? But the promise of scalability, of security, of sort of user experience and flawless upgradability and the embracement of the Move language, I think are all things that really make this sort of new layer 1 ecosystem exciting. And so we're excited to be kind of a part of that. And we've been there through DevNet, through TestNet, and now with mainnet, which is really neat. And I think in general, the theme that I'm hearing, and I think the theme that is important to convey here is building and developing, right? Market conditions are tough. Never a dull week in crypto, that's for sure. And this is no different. But I think taking the builder's mindset and working together and collaborating and approaching the ecosystem together to uplift it forward is extremely important. And I think that's sort of the intention of us talking about our partnership and kind of what we're going to do together to hopefully do that for not only our 2 organizations but for the ecosystems that are involved.
Couldn't agree more. And I mean, look, there's a lot of people in this room here, and some of you have probably been in this space for a long time, right? I empathize. I felt that pain. I'm sure many of you in this room are feeling that pain. Many people tuning into this are going through a difficult time, and we are human. We should empathize with that. But I think the important point is the one that you raised, right? Despite what's happening in the market, we are all here today. Many of us probably flew in from parts of the world to make it here, because that's how dedicated we are to Web3 and the promise and the mission that this technology has. And now more than ever, we need to really hone in on each other, the communities. I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd and in the halls. This community is what's going to get us to really good infrastructure and good first principles. And I think that's more important now than ever. So.
Totally agree. And I think it's sort of one of the goals that we're very aligned on, I think, is looking at the next 10 million developers rather than the next billion users, right? You got to build it first. Yep. You got to focus on that developer ecosystem. The users will come. And I think we're at Google thinking about it very similarly as Aptos is. And so, that said, from a strategic partnership perspective, this is the first time that we're kind of announcing this, and glad to share it here live in London. but we're working on a couple different things together. And we'll be focusing really on two areas. One is going to be around developer tooling and really making the developer ecosystem evolve together with us. And then the other thing is going to be all around actually building and engaging with the developer community. So I'll start with the tooling aspect, and one of the two things that we're pretty psyched about is, one, I mentioned that we've been involved with Aptos since DevNet and TestNet. Since mainnet launch, we were a staked block producing validator and are participating in the network today, and will continue to do so, which is really exciting for multiple reasons. One, us participating in the network, but two is, I think, learning and taking those learnings to make Google Cloud the best place to run Aptos nodes, to build decentralized applications, to support the ecosystem from an Epic infrastructure perspective. So that's really exciting for us, and I think for the Aptos community. The second thing is kind of goes back to the core mission of Google, right? Google's mission is organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Web3 blockchain data is complex, like that is no secret. And I think that's a problem that a lot of folks are trying to solve, and we want to help solve that. So one of the things that we'll be doing is we'll be indexing the entire Aptos chain and exposing it via our tool called BigQuery, which is our SQL-based warehouse, so the community can build easier, understand blockchain data, drive insights from it, and really use it in sort of an easy, consumable way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been amazing to see you guys ramp up so quickly on our infrastructure, and also show us what's exciting for you guys and what really good principles should look like when you're building this infrastructure. And our communities really needed this, right? Launching a network is a very difficult thing to do. Being part of our validator program throughout those test nets was invaluable, not only for us, but for our entire community. As we were going through those test nets, there were so many different entrepreneurs and builders within our ecosystem. There's over 200 projects that are, some in market and some coming live very soon, that got to benefit from the work that you guys were doing on the back end, right? They had a very seamless launch at day one. We've had one of the most robust ecosystem launches for projects instead of just going out there by ourselves. And a lot of that credit goes to how easy Google made it. When it comes to BigQuery, and I love the Google vision here and the mission. It's again, just like looking at the market, it doesn't take a genius to figure out. We need to understand the information that is made, that exists today, and how that information can be organized, how it can be synthesized, and how it can make sense to the developer and to the user. Transparency has become extremely important in this world, and Web3 operates with that at its ethos. And with things like BigQuery, we can bring that transparency to another level. Extrapolating those insights are really going to help not only Web3 builders really move fast, but also a lot of the Web2 folks, large media and entertainment companies that we're speaking with, sports franchises that we're having conversations with, speaking with social companies and gaming companies. They're going to want to understand what's happening on the network. And we saw the panel before us talk about how important that level of granular information is important. And BigQuery is going to be a really important factor for Aptos and the Aptos community. So we're super excited to see it come to life.
Yeah, likewise, absolutely. So let's pivot a little bit to then the building aspect, right? Which is what kind of the first, the tooling then goes into building. And I think from a building perspective, there's a few key initiatives that we're pretty excited about. One of them is the first Google and Aptos hackathon that we'll put on next year in 2023. So we'll obviously have the respective developer communities between Aptos and Google participate, but I think what's unique and interesting about it is we'll be inviting Aptos and Google engineers to hack together with the community, which I think is pretty unique and should really be interesting to kind of see those worlds collide. And to projects that will be interested in using both Google tooling as well as Aptos tooling to produce something really cool. I think that'll just be a really fun thing that we can do next year. And then obviously, I don't know how many of you guys have joined any of our events this year throughout, Consensus and Bitcoin Miami and NFT NYC, but we'll definitely be continuing our quote-unquote world tour and engaging with the community together. So definitely keep an eye out for that, and we really hope to see you there.
I mean, that's big stuff, right? Like, I don't know if collide is the right word. I think of like neutrons colliding in an accelerator, quite literally. But this is that moment where Web 2 and Web 3 are starting to come together in meaningful ways, and we're seeing that partnership. I mean, you guys had that Coinbase partnership you announced where you can pay with crypto, right? That's really cool. Our community loves to pay with crypto. We want to pay in what we think is social currency that's valuable across developer applications, right? Tokens are a new asset class, and we think they bring a lot of value, and it's amazing to see Google recognize that and meet developers where they are, and obviously that aligns nicely with our ethos. And when I guess atoms or neutrons collide, I think there's going to be some really cool sparks that fly. We're excited to see what co-building was going to look like. This is going to be, like you said, I think the first time a Web 2 and a Web 3 company has come together in such a meaningful way. When I think about all the user experience that's required for mainstream adoption, I mean that sits at the core of so many of your products. I mean, coming here, I had to figure out how to navigate a boat, and I used Google Maps, and it was seamless, right? And I want that same experience, whether I'm checking out in an application with my identity. I want that same experience when I'm taking my identity to engage in different platforms, or taking my assets with me in a game potentially, or other metaverse venues. And having Google to power that user experience or be complementary partners is going to be really important for us. And I think seeing you guys build is fun, but I love that you are leaning into the Web3 ethos and building with our community. We might come in and break a few things, so be cautious. But yeah, having an accelerator program that really supports the growth and putting real dollars behind these builders is what we need, again, more than ever, right? We need real partners that understand building systems and building applications that scale for billions of users versus going out and chasing a quick DeFi buck. And that's what we're most excited about. This is the best time to focus back on that user experience and remind ourselves about the communities that have been building for years in this space. And having that accelerator program and that support from Aptos and Google is going to be really valuable for them. It's going to mean the world to them. And I can't wait to open up my Twitter and see how many people are reaching out for that program already. So I'm really...
A lot of things you'll see on Twitter if you open it up right now.
I went on airplane mode.
No, I think that's exactly right, and that's a great point you made on the crypto payments aspect. Like, it's an example of how Google's leaning in, and the fact that Aptos will be running some of the internal operations and infrastructure on Google, and we'll be collaborating to make Google Cloud the best place to run Aptos nodes as well as decentralized applications. The fact that for all of those services you'll be able to pay in crypto as a user, as a developer, as an ecosystem player, I think is, it just shows kind of the evolution of the space, and we're really excited about that. But I think you hit on the last point, which we can unpack just a little bit before we run out of time here, which is the Accelerator program, right? And so we're really excited to announce that we'll be investing into Aptos ecosystem projects with partnership with the Aptos Foundation via APT as well as GCP credits to really bolster the development of that ecosystem and invest in projects that want to build. And I think, again, this ties it all back together with the fact that there's a lot of stuff happening right now. It's tough to kind of watch the market, but if we focus on building, if we turn our heads down and build and produce something cool and unique for the space, we will see those results, I think, deliver tenfold over the coming years.
Couldn't agree more. And just I love our partnership, and I'm super excited about it. I'm more excited about the Aptos community and the Web3 community here at large, right? Like, it just feels so weird to talk about something so exciting in a moment where there's so much chatter going on and so much market volatility. And I can't help it but be the same human that has sat in those seats many years ago at many conferences. And so again, the most exciting thing about this is that we are building. And we are building with principles that we want the Web3 world to focus on, because these are the right principles that are going to lead to the best outcomes for not only end users, but better societies. And technology sits at the core of those societies. We've seen Web2 platforms benefit immensely, and it's unbelievable to see a platform and a company like Google take a deep look inside and say, here's the Web2 world that we lived in, but there's this amazing thing that's happening in Web3, and we want to be a part of that, and it takes a lot of courage to disrupt from within. So, congrats to you guys, and amazing to see that level of disruption really lean into the societal impact that you can potentially have. So.
100%. Look, very thankful for our partnership. You guys have been absolutely awesome. What a team. Thankful for the community that's here and everyone that's in London today. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed. And if we can help in any way, happy to connect after, and we'll be around. So thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, guys.